All right, we should be good. Should be live. So thanks you guys for joining me today. It is Tuesday, the 18th of June. We'll be talking about some of the upcoming news, or I guess today's news here at Decker. So welcome again to Decker Truckline Q&A. I want to let you know, for those of you who are new to Decker, this is a weekly Q&A that we offer, answering questions that you might have about what we have available at Decker, what we do, some of the services that we provide, some of the job positions that we have available, pretty much all encompassing. So speaking of job positions and a little bit of Decker news, we recently have created a business development team. So we have our new business development director, Jenny Stuber Graham. Many of you guys, if you've been with the Decker family for long, you have known about Jenny. She started in 2010, actually almost to the date, in 2010 with the Missoula terminal when that began. And then, of course, she took over some of the logistics team in 2015, and for 7 years led the divisions. And then she came back from the Decker Logistics back on over to the asset side, and was working with the sales and strategy within the operations since 2022. So she is back within overall, and so welcome to Jenny. So again, she's the new business development director, just announcing that as of yesterday evening. And Blaine Martin, he is also the business development director. Blaine's been with Decker since 95, and he's been within the trucking industry for almost 40 years. But he has grown from all over, running the Lamars for quite some time, to doing recruiting and safety and operations and customer service and of course sales, which he does so well. So of course, if you guys are looking to reach out to either one of them, please get a hold of Decker. And last but not least, Will Kenny is also part of our business development director team, and we'd like to recognize them as well. So huge shout out to our team. Will has been in the Des Moines area of Des Moines terminal for 7 years as the logistics coordinator, and he has moved on over to team lead, and then of course director of operations in the Des Moines office. So so for the last 10 years, Will's been with Decker for the last 10 years, 7 years there in the logistics. So huge shout out to all of those. Speaking of, hey Bob, how are you? Dean's here. Blaine was head of recruiter when I started, he said. Yeah, I started in the recruiting department. And at that time, Blaine was no longer in recruiting, but he was in Lamar's. He was the what was his title back then? I think it was head of operations in Lamar's back then. He was definitely my go-to when I started back in 2010. If I had questions, I would go to Blaine, because he had been here long enough, even then, that I was like, okay. And he knew them all. He knew all the answers. So it was fantastic to get all the know-how, I guess, from Blaine back when I started with Decker. So Flatbed Trucker, how are you? Good to have you as well. Bob says, good. How's it going? Yeah, so Blaine definitely he's been around the company, knows it well inside and out. He's a great resource, I can tell you that. And of course, Jenny is my go-to in a million things, because when we started the Decker terminal back in 2010, she was in full swing on it, getting things rolling. She wore many, many hats at the time, and it was pretty awesome. So yes, indeed. So speaking of congratulations and, highlighting a few things, I want to give a huge shout out to our Iowa truck driver champion team. Yes. So last week we talked about the Montana Truck Driving Championships, which was a fantastic show. We did very well. We had 2 participants, 2 of our professional drivers, Lyle Turville, who is not new to the scene. Lyle has gone on to nationals multiple times, 3 times, I believe. He is going to nationals yet again in this sleeper berth. And then we have David Huber, also our Montana boy. He got second in flatbed, which I find humorous because he drives refrigerated. So he did fantastic. So congrats to both Lyle and David in that. Lyle not only got first in the sleeper berth, Lyle got grand champion over all of it in Montana. So huge congrats to both of them. It was pretty awesome. We had some fantastic representation. Speaking of representation and being fantastic and all of that, this last weekend we had our Iowa Truck Championship, Truck Driver Championship, and we had Felix Santiago, we had Dean Filmer, we had Todd Overson, and we had Jonah Click. Those guys rocked. They did fantastic. They did so well that overall, just with those few individuals, we as a team, Decker Truckline, placed second in the Iowa Truck Driving Championships. That is so cool. So cool. I love it. Thomas Potter, of course, there to cheer him on and guide, coach along the way. Thomas, I think, was Jonah's trainer when Jonah first started, but Jonah has come away with a few bragging rights. So Jonah he scored the highest, and thanks to Dean. Dean gave me a little bit of details on this. I say thanks to Dean, but also thanks to Katie, as she was keeping me up to date through the whole day, making sure I was in the loop. But with Jonah, he was not only did he get first in his division, which huge shout out to him for getting first, because that's a heck of an accomplishment. But not only that, he earned the highest in the testing of anybody in their first time. First time tester, he was by far the highest. And I think he got, there was 122 applicants, I think, or participants, I think Dean said, and Jonah was tested 30 for right out of the gate. I mean, that's phenomenal for a rookie. So he, first of all, got first in the flatbed. He owned flatbed, and then he also got Rookie of the Year. So he got the rookie award as well. So that's pretty impressive. That was in Altoona this last weekend. But yeah, and so Dean did the 4-axle. Felix was on the tanker. Todd Overson took the sleeper berth title, so Todd got first in that, which means that Todd and Lyle will be going neck and neck when they get to Indianapolis in August. They'll be competing against each other, which is pretty cool. We'll see the camaraderie there, right? Make sure that it's all good. I'm hoping, yes. No, it'll be great. Can't wait to see what happens there. But yeah, we have 2 representatives in the sleeper berth division, and of course Jonah is taking up the flatbed division as well. It was great. It was fantastic, and Dean was cheering them along the way, making sure that they knew, the ropes, because Dean's been doing this for over 20 years, so it's pretty awesome. Harlan, huh? Bob. So what do we got out of Harlan? We have refrigerated. We have flatbed. We have our home week. No, right now we don't have home weekly out of there. So we have our over-the-road refrigerated, and we have our over-the-road flatbed available. Yeah, we do have home weekly out of there. I'm full of malarkey. So home weekly, you're looking at coming home in flatbed Friday night or Saturday morning, and then leaving back out Sunday night or Monday morning. So I'm still giving you the details. So yeah, that's the flatbed division. $1,000 minimum, whether you're in the over-the-road refrigerated, the regional, or the home weekly flatbed, or the over-the-road flatbed. So it's $1,000 minimum. Remember, that's your safety net. And anything over and above, you get the better of the two. So either your cents per mile, which is based off of your experience level, and the miles that you run, of course, or your minimum pay. But that protective net is right there for you. So we've got that going on. With flatbed, we do pay for tarping and securement, of course, on top of your mileage. So you're comparing, you've got that minimum that I'm talking about, but you're comparing any miles that you have, any extra pays, detention, layover, mechanical breakdown, tarping and securing. What else might there be? All of that totaled up. If it is not more than 1,000, you'll get that 1,000 minimum pay. If it is more, then obviously you're going to get the larger of the two. When it comes to running lanes in the Midwest flatbed, common areas that you'd see are really from a lot of Iowa, a lot of the Midwest, up and down the Midwest. Just think, up and down the Midwest, really anything east of Denver, and then of course Texas and Texas to the Carolinas, a lot of Mississippi and Alabama and Louisiana, Georgia. And then we do move on up north, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky. Tennessee is a great location too, especially around the Memphis area, Nashville. We've got some in Virginia, some in PA. We don't do a whole lot in our flatbed division that's going to be north, especially northeast of there. But we do try to keep you busy and keep you moving with some of the best equipment that you'll see out there. We have mostly the 579 Peterbilts, and then we have some 740 Volvos in the flatbed division, and then we have a few Freightliner Cascadia Evolutions. They're equipped with, you name it, APUs, refrigerators, microwaves, CB units, navigation, Sirius radio. They're all equipped with Sirius radio. You'd have to hold a subscription for that, but we have Wi-Fi. We have Wi-Fi available on the TransFlow app, the data usage, but we also are switching over from Epic View, which is our satellite TV. It's a 22-inch TV with satellite programming, 100 plus channels, HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, Sunday Ticket. So it has all of that, but the Epic View Plus that we're switching over to, and yes, it is in motion. I know I totally jumped in early when we first were announcing that we were gonna do the Epic View Plus. I got a little antsy and I thought we were installing them. We weren't quite yet, but they are being installed now during services. We've got the stuff, got the supplies. So as of this afternoon, I was notified that yes, we are doing that. We'll give you more updates as they come along, but it's the Epic View Plus and the modems in the trucks. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Anyways, before I get too sidetracked, what the Epic View Plus has that the Epic View Satellite didn't is the streaming. It's internet. The internet streaming is one, so you've got Wi-Fi. But then we also have this with Epic View, you had the big dome. Well, I guess it's about this big. You had the dome on the back of the truck, right? Well, with the Epic View Plus, you don't. You have the unit that's about like this, and that's placed in actually it's in the sleeper, because you'll have, in some of the trucks, it'll be in the closet up top, so you don't see it. In some of the other ones, it'll be underneath. But anyways, it's out of the way where the dome was getting damaged sometimes. And so this A is not going to be as easily damaged, we hope. And it's also faster. So if you're with the streaming, if you're watching a movie or if you're playing video games or something like that, it's a lot faster for you, so you can enjoy that. But of course, that's for your downtime. But yeah, the trucks are coming very well equipped. They are double bunk trucks, and they have the APUs and inverters. I think I mentioned all of those. So yeah, very, very well equipped. Dean Sosek says, Dean Filmer, by the way, he's a great teacher. he helps me when we're in the same category. Yeah, he's pretty great, just real supportive and real encouraging or whatever. Yeah. Yep, and he was able to provide me some of those details that I didn't know. This was pretty cool. It's nice to have the support, the teamwork, from all different directions, right? You see in the pictures on our Facebook, there's all these signs that say, "Go Decker, you can do it," from the Truck Driving Championships. It was pretty cool. Yeah, great support. Can't argue there, right? So yeah, for the flatbed division, if you're home weekly, you're probably coming home on a Friday night or a Saturday morning, and then leaving back out Sunday night or Monday morning. Payroll or pay cutoff is on Tuesday night, so tonight, and you'll get paid Friday for all the miles that you completed by cutoff. Now, that's making sure that you have all of your paperwork in. So for that minimum pay, you'll either get the minimum pay or the miles that you run, like we talked about before. But make sure you have all of your paperwork in, because that is one of the qualifications or one of the requirements for the minimum pay. They're pretty basic, you guys. They're getting your paperwork in, and you can just take pictures, scan it, and get it in through the TransFlow. But that's the first one. Being available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week. No load refusals. No service failures. No late loads. No preventable accidents or CSA violations. And those are week by week. So if you had a CSA violation last week, that's not going to have any bearing on this week, and vice versa. So it's week by week. Which that was leading me into, with the CSA violations, speaking of, we're constantly looking to improve. CSA is also one of those. With our hours of service, please be aware of any hours of service violations. That is one that we're really focusing on throughout the summer, and making sure that we are improving. We have, from the last week, like week by week, we are improving, but we definitely need to make sure we continue those improvements. You've got all those different categories, of course, when it comes to your CSA and CSA points and stuff like that. And driver fitness, you've got hours of service. What am I missing? Vehicle maintenance. Of course, we're way up on our maintenance. We do a fantastic job there. Unsafe driving or safe driving, that is a category. Crash, ISS. So those are controlled substance abuse. That was controlled substance and alcohol. That was a focus from the beginning of May during the Blitz Week. That was one of their main focuses. And make sure I'm talking right. And that's, so we love to see improvements on all of those. And we'll continue to support each other in that. When it comes to maintenance, our truck maintenance, obviously we do our A and B, and we stay on top of all of that. We do have newer model equipment anyway. So with the Volvos and the Freightliners and the Peterbilts, mostly Peterbilts, like 95, 96, 7%, I'd say 6% are Peterbilts, but they're very well maintained as it is, but they're newer model. So we keep an average age of about 18 months and for the truck. So that means we've got some trucks that are 3 years old. We've got, of course, brand new trucks that are coming in. So normally when we're getting a brand new truck, those are usually assigned to some of our veteran drivers, some of the guys who've been here longer. We usually put them up front for getting an upgrade before, obviously, somebody coming directly in to the Decker family. So that's normally how it works, but it's all based off of, your truck rotation, getting that truck in and out. But the maintenance on the trucks is well done. That's when we're upgrading the Epic View system from the Epic View Satellite to the Epic View Plus, the streaming platform. So that's being done during the services. Anyways, if you guys have questions on that, hit it up in the chat. Let's get those answered for you. As far as the refrigerated division, we've got some options with the over the road, which is coast to coast. Most of it's going to be in the coast to coast division. Most of it's going to be west of the Mississippi. That one's 2 to 3 weeks out at a time. Lots of the Midwest, no matter what division you are in the refrigerated, But if you're running out west at all, then you're probably running a lot of west to Midwest. So even though you could go anywhere, that's a lot of west to Midwest. Whereas if you're home every 11 days, you're probably running more of the Midwest towards the east, like anything east of Denver. Now we don't do a whole lot of the New England states or New York. It's actually very uncommon for us. We try to stay away from that area because we just don't do a whole lot. Plus, it's not usually driver friendly or trucker trailer friendly, right? So most of our runs are in the Midwest: Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Minnesota, and I'm talking like southern Minnesota, central and southern, Wisconsin, Michigan. What am I missing? Tennessee, Texas to the Carolinas. Now, if you're wondering about a specific area, like wherever you live, definitely ask on availability, because even though those are our running areas, we're not currently hiring out of all of those areas that I've just listed. And we're more precise on our hiring because of keeping deadhead down, of course, and so keeping those deadhead miles down for full benefits. Cool. All right. Some of the questions that I've gotten here on our our YouTube channel here recently was about lease purchase and about owner operator. I do want to hit on that a little bit. We are not offering lease purchase or owner operator positions currently. Now we do, of course, have owner operators and lease purchase drivers who've been with us or who have transitioned over to the lease purchase. That hasn't been taken away from them, but we have put a pause on more owner operators and lease purchase drivers for now. Of course, our company side is we're still hiring for that, still giving you opportunities for there, and we have our over the road and we have our more regional, and we will continue to do that. So I know a lot of those questions were more geared towards lease purchase, and I wanted to let you know that has recently changed for us. We want to, of course, make sure that it's set up for success for both parties, and that's why we want to just put a hold on that for you. What can I tell you? What can I tell you as far as that? I think that's about it. The other questions that I was getting here recently was on the orientation process. Yes, we do pay for your transportation to orientation. It's usually a rental car or a flight, depending on where you're coming from. I mean, if you're coming from Washington, state of Washington, or Florida, or the Carolinas, it's not uncommon to get a flight into or for orientation. But most of the time, people are looking for a rental car, which is totally fine. We'll work with you on that one. But before you even get to that process, you need to get approved for orientation. And in order to get approved, you need to make sure that you don't have any major moving violations in the last 3 years, no DOT recordable preventable accidents within the last 3 years, and of course, clean records, good work history. Don't underestimate the value of a good work history, showing that you've got great habits, great driving habits more specifically, and you're somebody that can be relied on, somebody who has shown that they manage their time well, that they take care of the equipment. Those are all things that are factored in when we're looking at some of our available positions and who would be a good fit for them. So if you have questions whatsoever, this telephone number that keeps popping up across the screen, the bottom third, that is to the recruiting department. So it's 877-433-2537. And again, that goes directly to our recruiters. And you can talk to them. You can ask specific questions about your area, what's available, all that kind of stuff. And then if we sound like a good fit for you and you want to move on to the next step, that's when you're going to go to drivedecker.com and you can apply at that point. So make sure that we're a good fit for you. If there's something specific that needs to meet your needs before you know whether or not you should apply, ask. You guys, that's what these are for. Don't be afraid to ask. I know everybody has specific requirements or expectations, and We want to make sure that we can meet yours. And if we can't, then at least you would know that up front, right? And vice versa. It goes both ways on that one. Okay, so speaking of, well, let's kind of backpedal here just a little bit and finish giving you some details on the qualifying requirements. So no major moving violations. If you have 2 tickets within the last 3 years, we can work with that. We can't work with more than that. So if you have 3 speeding tickets, you're not going to be a good fit for us. We wouldn't be able to move forward. If you've had, 5, 6 jobs in the last 3 years, we're not going to be a good fit for you. We're looking for more stability. And you guys, we are going to support you along the way. Meaning, if you run into a concern or an issue, we've got a lot of supporting staff that's there to help you and improve on whether it be habits or time management or fuel compliance. And, we're going to help coach you along the way. We actually even have a program, what we call our ART program. It's an ambassador program that Thomas, you guys remember me talking about Thomas Potter? He was helping coach with the truck driving champions this last weekend in Iowa. Okay, well, Thomas is actually the head of our ambassador program, and it is designed to help you transition from wherever you came from into the Decker family and running into, or learning, I should say, learning the ropes, knowing who to contact and when, and what's our policy here, or how soon do I need to get my benefits in order and set up. Just questions along the way that they may have been answered in orientation, but there's a lot of information in orientation, right? Well, that's why you have someone there to answer those questions. So an ambassador is somebody that you can reach out to. It's one-on-one. You'll be able to connect with and answer those questions. So it's a great resource for you to use. Or they are a great resource for you to use. Anyways, orientation, it's usually about 3 days long. I say about because if you're a student, it's going to be a week long orientation. But those are the requirements for the basic requirements, 21 years of age for driving for Decker. If you do have a couple of incidents, they gotta be incidences, not accidents. We can't work with any DOT recordable accidents within the last 3 years. However, maybe a turning incident or a backing incident, we can sometimes work with it depending on cost and damage. Getting you approved. That's basically getting you set up for orientation. We'll get you your rental car or your flight. We have you do a Luma training, which is an online orientation. We'll do that ahead of time. Now you get a bonus, you get an extra $100 for completing that online orientation, along with your physicals and your drug tests before coming to Fort Dodge for your in-person orientation. Those things need to be done first. That's where you get the $100 to make sure that you incentivize, to get that done ahead of time. If you don't, you're going to be set back a week. So you'll have to wait for orientation to start. The thing is if you don't get it done ahead of time, it puts anybody else that's in the class behind. It slows them up, and they're there to get moving. A lot of people, when they're coming into the Decker family or looking to hire on, they're not looking to sit around and wait for somebody else to catch up. We've got a schedule to keep, and we're doing our very best to make sure that we can maximize the time that you have in orientation with the orientation trainers and the leaders there. If you don't get the online orientation done ahead of time, it throws everybody off, and they've done their due diligence, so we ask that you do yours as well. That said, the physical, if you have a physical that is good for another 6 months, and you've had yours for 6 months, if you got a year or 2 year physical, then you'll probably be fine. We can use that as long as you send over the long form of the physical and we get that signed off on. If you only have like 3 months left on your physical, we're just going to get you a new physical. We'll schedule that for you. You don't have to worry about jumping through the hoops and getting that scheduled. We'll schedule it. We'll also schedule your drug tests. We do both the urinalysis and the hair follicles. We'll schedule those at the same time. If you don't need a physical, then we'll just do the hair follicle and the urinalysis at a time. So what happens is you'll be working with your recruiter on those, and they'll find out, okay, so where are you at? If you're home, it makes life a little bit easier because then we're not trying to like fit you in on a run if you're still with a company and you're trying to like manage your time to get to a physical or drug testing facility. So that is that's something that the recruiters will work with you on, though. So if you are out on the road, we can make that work. That's no problem. We've got a heck of a database to make it more convenient for you. So we get that done. You've got your Luma training or your online orientation done ahead of time. That's your extra $100. And then for orientation itself, it starts on Monday. We take care of your hotel and your meals while you're here. They are single room hotels. You are not shacking up with anybody. We've got you. We're not teaming you with this is a solo room. And then we have your breakfast is usually at the hotel. It's just a basic continental. Lunch, we'll bring lunch in or we'll take you out for lunch. And then a dinner, we've got the meal cards available to you for some of those locations that are real close to the hotel, so you can grab something to eat in the evening as well. So we've got you covered that way. And like I said, with the hotel, and then it's about 3 days, sometimes 2.5, sometimes 3.5, just depends on how smoothly it goes with what questions you have, learning the TransFlow app, learning some of the policies and the there's a lot of amenities in the truck. So if you're learning like the APU and the TransFlow or how to run some of the equipment, then obviously that's going to be a little bit of a delay. Oh, and of course you've got your driving test when you come to orientation as well. So you'll also be participating in that. The maintenance department does a phenomenal job of walking you through the truck, kind of going through a checklist of this is what your truck has, this is what it's equipped with, and these are some common troubleshooting tips that we'll give you. But you guys, this resource that you'll get in orientation, this thing is the bee's knees. It has all kinds of great, helpful tips that you can refer back to all the time. And not only just tips, but it also has a lot of contact information that if you just can't remember, maybe you get the names mixed up or whatever, it's okay. We've got the telephone numbers to the departments so that you can get to who you need to for what you need in a timely manner. So speaking of timely manner, we have our 24/7 roadside assistance. So our maintenance department shop, they do a phenomenal job of working with roadside to organize, if we need to schedule you at another shop, if you're out on the road or getting you in, they'll work with your fleet managers as well to get you in and get your truck fixed if you're running into any issues. We want to stay on top of that, of course. And then, of course, we have our after hours or our night ops or our around the clock ops or whatever you want to call them, but they do also a phenomenal job of support. They're kind of, I don't want to say catch-all, but they know all, it seems like. I know they need to go to others sometimes for answers, but the things that our night ops or after hours operations know just blows my mind half the time. They've got questions and they're definitely my go-to for a lot of that, and they do a phenomenal job of supporting our professional drivers when they're out there, especially after hours when you might come up with a question and then you're like, oh, the person I need to get a hold of isn't here. What do I do? They can help. So yeah, they can help or they can get that message to them. So the moment they get in, they'll have it. So, great job by them. But that gives you the 24/7 support from both maintenance and ops around the clock. We also have a lot of our communication. If you guys aren't familiar with it, our weekly newsletter that goes out usually Monday afternoon to our professional drivers here at Decker. So you'll get updates on some of the company policies, procedures, and just really Decker news. Sometimes it's more industry-wide news, but like yesterday, we had the announcement with the business development directors, or about the business development directors, and how we've kind of restructured to create opportunities and growth and expansion there, so that we're focusing on that for our drivers. Really increasing our portfolio of services. And that is going to lead to more opportunities for our professional drivers here at Decker as well. Open up some, gearing up for some more options, miles, that kind of thing, locations, all that kind of stuff. So more to come on that. But those are the type of things that you'll be seeing, of course, celebrating wins along the way with our truck driver champions. Our weekly newsletter does that. We like to celebrate some of it, even on a personal level. Steve, the other day, but it's about a week and 2 weeks ago, Stephen has been with Decker for several years, Stephen White, and he's been in the training department. He's been a driver. He's a driver again, and he was able to participate in some training that he needed, but also an opportunity to travel over to Normandy, France. And we were able to, just kind of assist and make sure that he was there to get his recertification. And he shared just some awesome adventures, very proud to be supportive of a lot of our country and those who have fought or are fighting for him. So shout out to Stephen as well, of course, and all who got to participate in that. Heck of an opportunity. But it's always fun to hear the story, so that's why I bring that up. With our newsletter, we like to share a lot of that. And of course, if you're part of our Facebook page, you'll see that a lot of that news is shared throughout there as well. And updates, like things like hours for during the holiday, or things like that. So speaking of holiday, we've got new shirts that are coming out. These are always a big deal. Like, I swear every year between Memorial Day and the 4th of July, there's always a request for patriotic gear, right? And they're always some bestsellers. So we have come up with t-shirts and sweatshirts as options for some patriotic gear. The shirts are $15, the t-shirts, and they come in black or blue, a light blue or a black, basically. And then I believe those are a cotton blend, but they are anywhere from an adult small to a 5X. So there's a variety of sizes to choose from. And again, it's $15. These, you need to get a hold of Steph if you want some of these, so that we can get the right amount and the right sizes ordered. So go ahead and get a hold of her. It's extension 2000. As I say that, I think actually what happened is, I think the order was already made, and I think they're just going based off of availability. So let me back up a little bit, because I think I was thinking these were pre-ordered, but they are not. I believe she actually has the ones in stock. So if you have a size that you need, obviously, make sure that you get a hold of her so you get the proper size. And they're small to 5X in the t-shirts. The sweatshirts, or the hoodies, I guess they're hoodies, those are medium to 5X, and those are $32 a hoodie. So again, there's limited sizes, but limited quantities of each size. Maybe that's how I should have put that. But if you want to get a hold of one or order one, please reach out to Steph. Her extension is 2000, and she'll be able to get that over to you. And you guys can let her know if you're going to pick it up, or if it's going to be mailed or whatever. So, cool. All right. Excellent. I do want to hit on some of the benefits, though, as well, that we've got. So we've got all kinds of benefits, and they've been improving year by year. Like I said, back in 2010 when I started, the 401k match, I think back then was 10%. It's 50% now. So we've definitely increased that, as well as a lot of the the additional benefits: medical, dental, vision, prescription. The prescription plans themselves, there's multiple prescription plans that you can choose from, or you can have a combination of them. If you have a generic prescription, you've got $0 generic options. If you have brand name or specialty prescriptions, you've got $0 copays available to you on some of those. But I mean, the coverage has just expanded year after year. And I know for a lot of companies, not just within the trucking industry, but a lot of companies in general, you start to see the reverse happen with coverage. And I've noticed the other way around. So more and more coverage and opportunities. Speaking of, there's Regenix, which is also new. Well, not new. We've had it for a little over a year, I believe. And then we also have the FedLogic is another resource that's available. So the Regenix is more stem cell, a replacement for surgery in a lot of cases, whether it be your wrist, your elbow, spine, knee, hip, ankle. That you've got that Regenix option. And then the FedLogic is more helping you to find the resources you need to, so that you can get some of those services or surgeries or whatever, any of those medical needs that you need, being able to find, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. So yeah, we've got quite a bit of that. And like I said before, the 401k, it's a 50% match. It's Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's Principal Financial, for the 401k. That is fully vested at 6 years, but it's a match of 50%. You can put in up to 25%, I believe, but we match up to 8% of your total contributions, and that's at 50%. So yeah, lots of opportunity and coverage for you along the way. I talked about some of the flatbed equipment. The refrigerated equipment is very similar. However, we've got a lot of 579 Pete's, of course. The Volvos, however, instead of the 740 Volvos, you're seeing more 780s or 860 Volvos in the refrigerated division than you would in the flatbed. And then, of course, some Freightliner Cascadia Evolutions. Which reminds me, you guys have probably received a notice. I'm looking for my TransFlow here. You've probably received a notice on your TransFlow app letting you know that scorecards are out. Please take a minute between now and Wednesday to review that with your driver manager. So when you get the notice that the scorecard numbers are out, always, every month, each month, go through with your driver manager, review it. If there are areas that you've lost points, find out what you can do to improve on those, or maybe working together to improve on those. It's not always falling on you. And then if you have a discrepancy, your fleet manager or driver manager, they then can communicate that to the safety department to get anything amended. All right, so they'll get those fixed. And when I say discrepancies, a lot of times what I'm thinking of is the idle time. Our Freightliner Cascadias, some of them have the opt-to-idle, which with the opt-to-idle truck, you need to let your driver manager know that that's what you have. Because then at that point, they'll let the fuel department know, and they'll be able to track the compliancy, the idle time rating on that. But they need to know that, and without knowing that your truck, like that truck and what that truck number is, we need to have that basically assigned to you so that we can keep track of it for you. We wouldn't know unless you reach out to us. So please take a moment to do that if you have the opt-to-idle. With the opt-to-idle, you don't have the APU unit, but you'll still be able to run that inverter. Okay. What else? Equipment-wise, also I wanted to hit on that they are double bunk trucks. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. That is a special note as well. So if you have a rider, ages 10 and up, it's $25 a month. We've got that double bunk form if you want. Maybe you just want it for storage. You can use that too. You've got that. but a lot of availability that way. So yes, more to come here at Decker on some of the services that are coming about or coming down the pipeline. So I'm looking forward to some of those strategic opportunities here at Decker. If you guys have questions whatsoever about how to read your scorecard or what the lytics system is and trying to learn those, reach out to your driver manager. It's a conversation that you should definitely have to have a good feel of where you can maximize your bonuses. Every month we have a safety bonus, which is based off of our lytics system, and a scorecard bonus. Now the scorecard bonus, it has 7 criteria. On-time delivery, on-time delivery, CSA points, preventable accidents, claims, miles, fuel compliance, and idle time. Oh, got it. Those are our 7 criteria for the scorecard. And the scorecard, a max scorecard point is 1,000 points. Now, 1,000 points gets you 4 cents a mile on all of the miles that you completed for that previous month. Now, if you lost points for some reason or the other, those are the criteria that I gave you. If you lost points for one of those, then you could get 1, 2, 3 cents more per mile on all the miles you had instead of the 4 cents. And that's on all the miles that are completed. So if you ran from, let's give an example here, from May 1st to May, let's see, and then you were off, let's see, maybe you picked up a load on the 29th, but you didn't deliver it until the 2nd of June. That load, that one that you picked up on the 29th and delivered on the 2nd of June, that one will not be on your May miles. That will fall under your June miles because it's when you deliver. So if you picked up in April and delivered in May, that will be on your May miles. So it just kind of rolls on over. So if you have questions on that, please don't hesitate to ask, but that's how those miles are calculated, how they're encompassed in the month. And then again, you're going to get your extra cents per mile based off of what your scorecard points are. Anything 825 or above, I believe, pays out 1 cent per mile. 1,000 points is 4 cents. So it goes up in those increments. Whereas the safety bonus is you earn the safety bonus or you don't. It's a penny per mile on all the miles completed, same miles. And then for the safety bonus, it's based off of our lytics system, which is our safety feature that's in the truck. It does include both inward and outward facing event recorders. As far as the event recorders are concerned, but they're not a live feed. They will kick on during a critical event, so following too close, lane departure, speed gauge, erratic lane change, anything like that would kick on those inward and outward recordings. What else can I tell you about those? But it's not a live feed. And if you have a perfect score, a lot of you guys have perfect scores. We'll go through it next week. You'll notice that there are a lot of people who scored quite well in our safety bonus. What else with that lytics system? Oh, the inward facing camera, that will turn off all the way. So it won't kick on during critical events at that point, but it'll turn off right away when your truck is off. So when you when you turn your truck off, that'll go off. Whereas the outward one, that actually stays on for 4 hours. So the outward one will stay on for 4 hours. Yeah. And so, again, when you're done for the day, you've got your APU and your inverter or your opt-idle and inverter. So your truck won't be on, and therefore you don't have to worry about if you're concerned about that interior one. Cool. All right. Feel free to ask if you guys have more questions on that. Want to make sure that those are answered for you. But the payout for that will be next Monday. So you have until tomorrow at 5 p.m. in order to get any discrepancies in for the bonus pay. So make sure that you speak to your fleet manager. You should be doing that every single month. You should be kind of touching base with them on those numbers every single month anyway. Obviously, speaking to them more often, making sure that you guys are on the same page with time management and fuel routes and load planning and home time and all that good stuff. Right? Speaking of that, when you come to Decker, if you're new to Decker and you're scheduled for orientation, you've probably had a conversation with your recruiter about the job position, right? Well, I hope so. If not, make sure you do. So you have that discussion with them. At that time, you're going through what we call expectations. Those expectations are not only our expectations, but also yours. So we want to make sure, the reason we have that conversation is to make sure that we are in alignment, that we know when you need to be home, we know how often we can get you home. We need to make sure that what we can get you on a weekly basis, what earnings you make on a weekly basis align with some of your needs. So if you're needing to make up here and we're here and there's a big gap, we need to know that. It might not be a good fit. A lot of times it's the other way around, where we can get you this and you've been down here and that's a great level. Maybe your home time, maybe you need to be home on a weekly basis and you're in an area that we wouldn't be able to offer that. Those are conversations we need to have so that when you come aboard, before you come aboard that it'll be a good fit for you. And of course, no reason to come aboard if we can't meet your expectations. So we want to make sure that we're in alignment, whether this way or this way. It's a great conversation to have. So, and you'll have that with your recruiter. Initially, have it with your recruiter. And then once you come into orientation, you'll meet with your driver manager. And that'll be an additional conversation. They'll basically take on that expectation form that you went through with your recruiter. And then your driver manager will review that with you as well, making sure, again, that we're in alignment, that your expectations and our capabilities are in line with each other. So great conversation to have. If you guys have more questions, if you're interested in coming aboard to Decker, please reach out to us at 877-433-2537 or apply online at drivedecker.com. If you get a chance to speak to any of our TDC or truck driving champions, those who participated in the truck driving championships in Altoona this last week, please make sure that you give them a shout out. We had Jonah Click not only winning the flatbed division, but earning the rookie title, just outperforming so many people, especially first time. Jonah, like I said, first place in the flatbed and then the Rookie of the Year award. And the highest truck driving champion score for first timers ever. That's pretty cool. It's not, not many can say that. Just one. Felix taking the tanker, representing in the tanker position. Felix participated last year as well. We look forward to having him do it yet again next year. Dean Filmer, same. Dean has been doing this for 20 plus years, not driving longer than that, but actually participating in the truck driving champions. He competed this year in the 4-axle. Was last year, I'm trying to remember, did he do sleeper berth last year? I'm trying to remember which one Dean did. Todd Overson did sleeper berth this year, and he also earned the first place in that. Decker earned second overall, but both Jonah and Todd will represent Iowa and Decker in the National Truck Driving Championships. And Lyle Turville from Montana will also be representing Decker and Montana for the Truck Driving Championships in Indianapolis in August. So make sure you give them a shout out. Also, big shout out to our new business development directors. We have Will Kenny and Jenny Stuber-Graham and Blaine Martin. So shout out to them. Look forward to continued opportunity for the Decker family. You guys have an awesome rest of your day. We will see you next Monday on our Facebook Live at 4 p.m. Central, and then at noon Central back here on our YouTube channel on Tuesday.